What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 23 of the Elephant Wire Podcast, the show where we break down song lyrics and don't play you a damn second of the song because major labels are thieving babies that would sue us up the ass. This week's episode, we're going to be dissecting the song Cannonball by Damien Rice. Let's fucking get some!
Welcome to the Elephant Wire Podcast. Music. Drugs. Laughter. Lyrics.
Damien Rice. I've been looking forward to doing a Damien Rice episode for a while. Literally, like, a couple weeks after this podcast even became an idea, I was like, well, I know we're going to get to Damien Rice sooner or later, you know? It's like doing a murder podcast, and you're like, well, we got Dahmer, we got Gacy. You're doing podcasts about lyrics and songwriting. Damien Rice is going to be in the mix. He's quite possibly the most thought-provoking, deepest, broodiest songwriter we have done a breakdown of yet, and quite possibly as we go on, I mean, I could definitely see us doing another episode about another Damien Rice song because he has plenty of music and just one of the more talented songwriters of all time. Absolutely incredible. I discovered Damien Rice, who's probably like 2006, 2007. My cousin was entering his Radiohead phase. So he gave me like basically all of his CDs because the only thing he was going to be listening to for his foreseeable future was going to be, just Radiohead. I mean, like when I say he was entering his Radiohead phase, that's literally what I mean, is that he decided that the only band he was going to listen to was Radiohead. So he gave me a bunch of his CDs and, he didn't want to be distracted from Tom York, I guess. I don't know what it was, but yeah, we never saw him again. I hope my cousin's okay. No, I'm just kidding. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Steve, good guy. But yeah, let's get into it. Damien Rice, Dublin, Ireland. Probably one of the most talented songwriters, like I said, in my opinion, in the last 30 years for sure. Like I would absolutely put Damien Rice up against Bob Dylan any day. Think of an incredible songwriter, Janis Joplin, or who would be another one? I mean, we could absolutely throw John Lennon, Paul McCartney in there. I mean, absolutely. He's by far one of the most talented songwriters, like I said, in the last 30 years. He sticks mainly in like the folk rock, indie rock. Stays a lot in there, and he uses a lot of strings. And when I say, if I make the statement very little amplification, by that I'm talking about like any element of distortion or any element of changing the noise of the beautiful acoustic guitar. He involves a lot of cello, a lot of violins, things like that. His albums are incredibly acoustic, and he also is a very talented clarinet player. He peppers that in every now and again. Another incredibly talented songwriter from Ireland, Glenn Hansard. He spoke at great length on I believe it was an Instagram Live. He was just doing a little mini seminar on his Instagram Live about songwriting. And he went very in depth about his history with Damien Rice and his friendship with Damien Rice. And he said one of the most thought-provoking statements that came, from watching Glenn Hansard's video and whenever he was talking about Damien Rice. One thing that he said was, Damien told me that if you tell people the truth, you save people a lot of time. And I thought that, that is one of the more deeper statements that I've ever heard. It's absolutely outstanding. But two, it's honestly some of the best life advice I've ever heard. If you tell people the truth, you save them a lot of time. And, I'm obviously, I'm not talking about being brash. I'm not talking about being a dick. I'm not talking about going out of your way to, well, I wanted to tell them the truth. Like, did you need to in that moment? What I'm more referencing is whenever someone asks you their opinion or your opinion. or, someone asks you how you feel about something. If you tell them the truth, you save them a lot of time. And you save a lot of heartache, and you save a lot of issues that could arise. But Damien began his music career. He was the lead singer of a band called Juniper. They formed, he formed with some other boys that he went to high school with outside of Dublin. They were a band from 1991 to 1998. And Damien had written a song called Eskimo, and for a new release for the band Juniper, and their record label refused to release it. They wanted faster songs. They wanted more upbeat music. So Damien quit the fucking band. He was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm done. The remaining members ended up going on and starting a band called Bell X1, which I've never heard of, nor have I listened to. I didn't even give them a shot before this podcast to see what they even sounded like. I just was like, oh, that's where they went. Good for them. But after quitting the band, Damien ended up moving to Italy. And this was in, like I said, this was in 1998. He moved to Italy, and he started working on a solo project. And the album that he ended up writing, the song that we're talking about today, Cannonball, actually comes from that first solo album that he wrote whenever he was living in Italy, and then ended up moving back to Dublin over time. The album is called O, just the letter O. Now, that being said, he actually didn't release that album till February of 2002. So from 1998 to 2002, he spent all that time writing this album. 10 tracks. And that's how much time and effort he put into it. And, Damien does nothing quickly. He really doesn't. As many interviews and things that I pulled up, just trying to get more insight into the life of Damien Rice before this episode. One thing I'll say, he does not do anything quickly, and if you even just listen to him talk, he takes these long pauses, and you see the look on his face. He's planning his words, and honestly, because of how intelligent he is and the way that he chooses his words, you're hanging, you're waiting, because knowing that wherever his thought process is going is going to be filled with metaphor and just priceless guidance. So the fact that from 1998 to 2001, that's how long, or 2002 actually, that's how long it took him to write and record his album. That honestly doesn't surprise me, because ask him a question and it takes him 4 minutes to answer, but he only talked for 1. So Damien's a very methodical man. Like I said, he's very thought provoking. He loves to speak in metaphor, and he's also very open book isn't the word that I'm looking for. He's just very transparent in the way that he goes about talking about different things. But as I was talking about a minute ago, our song today comes off the album O. That's it, just the letter O. We got track 4 of 10. It comes in at 5 minutes 10 seconds. And like I was talking about a minute ago as well, it was released in 2002, but that was actually only in Ireland. It was not until 2003 that it was actually globally released. He signed a distribution contract with Vector Records. He had been, obviously just because of the way everything had turned out with his former band Juniper, he'd been very, very weary of signing to a label. Like I said, given the way that everything worked out with Juniper a couple years earlier. He actually recorded the album in his father's living room, and he rented the equipment and on a loan from his father as well. Now, this is actually a really interesting factoid. His second cousin, David Arnold, helped him in the process of the recording of this album. Now, to say the statement, there's not many people better suited for the job, especially whenever you're just bringing in your cousin, because David Arnold, he might not spark a light in your brain right away. However, David Arnold has scored 5 James Bond films, along with a ton of other shit. Like, the list of movies, I thought about throwing it in here, and I was like, no, that's not what the episode's about today. But he's got Grammy Awards, just the amount of accolades that David Arnold, his second Damien Rice's second cousin is one, is absolutely outstanding. But he was nonetheless, he was a great person to have around during the recording of the album. Now when it comes to the writing of the album, or more so his motivation, I found a quote by Damien. He said, "To forget about everybody else and to make the next record that we're making just for ourselves again." And you'll notice he's saying "our." We'll get to that in a second. We're making just for ourselves again, because there's something about being in a space where you're not thinking of other people. You're just in a moment creating music and emotion, and in a space with people you feel comfortable with. And that for me is the essence of what it is that we've done and what it is we do. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, why is he saying we? Well, yes, this is a solo album. However, enter Lisa Hannigan. At the time, Lisa Hannigan was Damien's personal and professional partners, is how she's referred to. Now, not only do I not give a flying fuck about people's personal relationships, there really will never come a day on this podcast where we really delve into people's personal relationships. Like, even if we did an episode about the best of John Lennon, we're not going to get into Yoko, because who gives a fuck? Like, it's about songwriting. It's about the songwriter. We're especially not a podcast about celebrity gossip, and we're not going to go deep into the relationship and the fallout of Damien and Lisa, but one, because it spans about 15 fucking years, and two, like I said before, I don't really care. They broke up. Big deal. Like, it was tough for both sides. They went through a lot. They both kind of gave up music for a minute. They both went their own ways. They both did their own interviews. It is what it is. But in that quote that I just read, when he is saying we, he's talking about himself and Lisa, who, like I said, it was his personal and his professional partner. She toured with him. She was very influential in the songwriting process. She was a very big part of the early years of his music career. This song Cannonball was actually the second single release from the album, and it ended up charting in the UK at number 9, which was something that was not even Damien's goal. He just wanted to be honest. He wanted to write music that he felt, that he lived, something that incited emotion within himself. Something that he honestly, in the interviews that I've watched with him in talking about the release of that album, he honestly felt that he had no choice but to write those songs. I mean, he felt bottled. He felt that they were stuck inside him, and he had no choice but to release them. One last little factoid that I wanted to share. A more recent interview that I was watching with Damien Rice, he took a very long hiatus, and I was trying to find where the quote came from, but there was a quote by Damien where someone asked him why he took such a long hiatus from music and why he stopped writing music for so long. And the statement that he had of that was that he had fallen perfectly in love, and he only knows how to write music about pain. Now, this, just right off the bat, it sounds broody and emo and blah, blah, blah. But when you really start to boil it down, the man knows who he is, and the man knows what he's capable of, and the man also knows where he succeeds. And if that's the case, if he only feels comfortable and he knows that he only is going to make music that he himself will appreciate, or he himself will feel proud of when he's releasing pain, then it's not weird that he took such a long hiatus, that he took such a long break between releasing an album, and then years later, I believe it was like 2014, the next time that he released an album. But even still, in a newer interview that I just saw that he had done in the last couple years, he was talking about one of the things that he has been working on in his life was removing certain words. He doesn't like to use the word good anymore. He doesn't like to use the word bad anymore. He doesn't like to use the word pretty. He doesn't like to use the word ugly. Really removing a lot of these kind of vague adjectives from his life and forcing himself to really quantify what things truly are, and forcing himself to take a step back, because he even admitted one of those kind of vague adjectives that he has kept in his vocabulary is funny. And he used the word in a way that, I wouldn't normally hear the word used, but he was talking about, in a sense, he was in the answering of the question that was presented to him, he was talking about plight within the world. I mean, this interview I was watching, I think it was around 2016. So think of all the things that were going on at that time. Donald Trump fucking being a piece of shit that he was, and all the things that were going on in 2016, the world feeling like it got flipped upside down. And Damien Rice used the word funny, and he used it in the sense that whenever we actually as human beings take a step back and we look at what we truly place importance on, it really does come across as funny. It comes across as silly. It comes across as an inch deep. And now, I'm not talking about taking things into, yes, it is incredibly important. There's still children in cages today, no matter who the fucking president is. Biden, get on your shit. Kamala, come on, let's go. It doesn't really matter what's going on. We still need to fight for justice, yes. What he's more referencing is these people in power and these people that are actually making decisions, where they're actually placing the importance. It's honestly funny where they end up landing and who they end up becoming and how much stock we put in their words. Still a little bit of your taste in my mouth. Still a little bit of you laced with my doubt. Still a little hard to say what's going on. Still a little bit of your ghost, your witness. Still a little bit of your face I haven't kissed. You step a little closer each day, that I can't see what's going on. Stones taught me to fly. Love, it taught me to lie. Life, it taught me to die. So it's not hard to fall when you float like a cannonball. Still a little bit of your song in my ear. Still a little bit of your words I long to hear. You step a little closer to me, so close that I can't see what's going on. Stones taught me to fly. Love, it taught me to lie. And life, it taught me to die. So it's not hard to fall when you float like a cannon. 'Cause it's not hard to fall. And I don't want to scare her. It's not hard to fall, and I don't want to lose. It's not hard to grow when you know that you just don't know. Damien, you're killing me. Damien Rice. Like I said, so fucking talented, so deep, so broody. Fell perfectly in love with Lisa Hannigan. Lisa Hannigan? Something Hannigan? I thought, isn't Lisa Hannigan that girl who was on How I Met Your Mother? Wasn't that her name? Maybe not. It doesn't matter. He wasn't dating the girl from How I Met Your Mother, by the way. Completely different individual. All right, let's get into this. Let's start plowing through. Still a little bit of your taste in my mouth. This is almost a crude way to begin this conversation. When we consider how poetic this story is about to become, like I said, it's almost crude. Still a little bit of your taste in my mouth. At the same time, because of how poetic this song is, the statement doesn't necessarily need to be crude. I mean, this is one of those things, because I have a dirty mind. And I hang out with people who also have dirty minds, and we make dirty jokes, and we curse violently, and we drink like fish and hail Satan. A lot of times, you're talking to someone, just some random Joe Schmo off the street, and they say something like, "Oh, I'm coming," and I instantly snicker because I've completely destroyed my sense of humor. I can't even hear the words "I'm coming" without instantly just like, yeah, but that's the first time you said that in a while, that kind of shit. So this is absolutely a situation where, like I said, it's almost a crude way to begin this, given how poetic it is. However, because of how poetic it is, I think I need to get my mind out of the gutter. Still a little bit of your taste in my mouth. That doesn't necessarily need to be crude, because let's continue on. Still a little bit of you laced with my doubt. Little hard to say what's going on. The thought of who she is very quickly becoming to him, like, the thought of who she is very, very quickly becoming to him is not something he seems to have been prepared for, if that's the way to say that. He doesn't know whether or not he should allow himself to indulge in these feelings. Still a little bit of you laced with my doubt. It's hard to say what's going on. Like, I really don't know if I should allow myself to be in this position right now. Still a little bit of your ghost, your witness. Still a little bit of your face I haven't kissed. The feeling of seeing the person everywhere you look. That by that statement, still a little bit of your ghost, your witness. When you're falling in love with somebody, whenever you're in the crush period, you got a crush on somebody in that early stages of texting and, what's your favorite color and all that shit. And you start just seeing them everywhere. You start hearing them everywhere. Still a little bit of your face I haven't kissed. The time that they've spent together, he can't get enough of her. Immediately jumping to the thought of physically being with them. And being almost driven by the thought of being in their physical presence. And he keeps going by saying, you step a little closer each day that I can't see what's going on. And I love this line so much because think of it in the sense that he is so quickly allowing her to get close to him and to know more about him, to know more about who he truly is. And he hasn't even noticed. He actually explained this in an interview at one point as saying the more time you spend with somebody, the less you realize their changes and the less you realize your own changes. On the outside, people can see the changes. Like even things as dumb as like their hair getting longer or, gaining or losing weight or a complexion based on whether it's summer or winter. Things like that. Whenever you spend so much time with someone and you get so wrapped up with them that you don't see these changes, you don't realize them. Spending every day completely enthralled, completely beside yourself because of this person. You step a little closer each day that I can't see what's going on. He's very self-aware of what's happening. However, that doesn't change the fact of what's actually happening. And then we get to the chorus. Stones taught me to fly. Now, this makes me... We're going to break this down line by line. Stones taught me to fly. Something that you know you should not be giving. Something that, how am I trying to say this? Feelings that you have for someone and something that is giving you ability that you know should not be. If that makes sense. Almost becoming reliant on someone that you know is maybe not the best case scenario. But you literally can't help yourself. A stone does not fly. But the fact that stones taught him to fly. The opposite's there. And the using the metaphor there. Love, it taught me to lie, is the next line. Falling in love with another person, almost trying to become someone you can't. Or on the flip side, or it could be, have fallen in love so early on and so deeply in love with that person that you have to keep your feelings hidden, and therefore you lie. Love teaching you to lie. A lot of people I feel like would be very quick to jump onto a train here and say that this is about an affair. And it literally, I don't know another line in this song other than that one that you could go off of, because every other line in this song really does not make me think that there's anything alluding to an affair or some type of, outside relationship other than the one he's already, in. I don't take this line that way. I take it in the sense that love teaching him to lie, love taught him to almost try to become someone that he really did not see himself becoming, and kind of almost putting on airs. The next line here, life, it taught me to die. The hurt that can be brought about by years of allowing yourself to become close with someone. Love is the pain of being truly alive. However, the loss of love for someone will absolutely bring about emotional death. Like how many times I've heard of the case of someone literally dying of a broken heart. There's no other medical or scientific reason for someone dying other than, husband dies, 2 weeks later, the wife does too. Just passes in her sleep. What'd she die of? She just died. She died of a broken heart. And so life, it taught me to die. The pictures that we have all the way through this chorus, because we have a couple more lines, but these first few lines of this chorus, really, really utilizing the ability of opposites, of ebb and flow, of both sides, of realizing how in love he is falling with this person, also realizing that it's probably not a good idea. Now he doesn't go into detail of why it's not a good idea, whether he knows that maybe that person is not a good person to fall in love with, or maybe it's the rate at which he's falling in love. He doesn't really get specific on it, but by showing both sides of things, but not really adding negative light to either of them, shows how back and forth falling in love is. Like I said, love is the pain of being truly alive. And he rounds out the chorus by saying, so it's not hard to fall when you float like a cannonball. Now here he makes a joke. Why not fall in love? Why not let myself go? All my doubts, all my inhibitions, all my hesitation. It also feels like this is not the first time that this has happened to him. How would he know that he floats like a cannonball unless he had prior experience with falling so deeply and madly in love with somebody that he just completely let himself go altogether? He has experience in this. He knows that he floats like a cannonball. He knows he has such a tendency to just completely sell himself. And we get into verse 2, still a little bit of your song in my ear, still a little bit of your words I long to hear. Her words, her voice stick with him throughout the day. When he is just walking down the street, he can hear her voice in his head, and he honestly, just the picture of him, he cannot help but smile. I actually have a voicemail saved in my phone that my wife left me years ago. I have notes from my wife that she wrote me years ago. One of them is hanging right in front of me right now, and all it says on it is, I love you, with her name signed on it. It's a piece of paper she ripped and wrote a note and left it on the counter one morning. And that's literally all it takes. When you are madly in love with someone, when you are so overcome with love, life, it taught me to die. Love, it taught me to love. All these things that just like all these crazy feelings that love stirs up. Even that, still a little bit of your words I long to hear. My wife and I have been together going on, I think it's 14 years. She made me laugh not even an hour ago. And I could have kept sitting on the back patio, but one of her good friends in town, so they took off to go drink wine slushies. So here I am. But he ends verse 2 with, you step a little closer to me, so close that I can't see what's going on. And it's the same way that he ended verse 1. He like I said, I love this line so much because he's self-aware enough to realize what is happening. But because of what love is, and because of what the act of being in love and the emotion and being drawn to someone, because of what all those things are, he literally cannot help himself so close that I can't see what's going on. He does not even know how deep in he is. He knows he's in deep. He knows he's fucked. He knows he's in. But he doesn't even know how in. And we come back to the chorus again. Stones taught me to fly. Love, it taught me to die. Or love, it taught me to lie. Life taught me to die. So it's not hard to fall when you float like a cannon. And he cuts himself off here. Almost as if the song was about to end and he realizes that he's not finished. He's not done yet. So he starts the chorus over. Now this very well could have just been a songwriting decision to repeat the chorus, but At the same time, he changes things a little bit the second time through. Stones taught me to fly. Love it taught me to cry. So come on, courage. Teach me to be shy. He's trying to check himself. He's almost staring in the mirror, like looking at himself in the mirror and going, okay, when you go to dinner with her tonight, don't stare deeply into her eyes and her dreamy eyes and her beautiful, and just spending all of your days with her and, oh fuck, I'm doing it again. So come on, courage, teach me to be shy. He cannot help but come out of his shell when he's around her. He feels so comfortable. But he knows he can't be there yet. He knows he needs to tone it down. He knows he needs to calm the fuck down a little bit. I'm not going to do this again. Stay strong. Stop falling head over heels for this girl. And he goes into this outro here because it's not hard to fall, and I don't want to scare her. He carries an insecurity about the way she will perceive him. Will she think I'm needy? Will she think I'm clingy? Is she honestly looking for something that's this serious? Am I looking for something that's this serious? All those insecurities that are coming with her. With this situation, I don't want to scare her. Is his point here? It's not hard to fall, and I don't want to lose. Clearly he wants to be with her. He loves her. All of these things that he's wrestling with are for the purpose that he doesn't want to lose her. No matter how long it will take and no matter what he has to do, that's his main point right now, is that he does not want to lose her. And then he ends the song by saying, it's not hard to grow when you know that you just don't know. Boom. There it is. Damien in Damien fucking Rice fashion. Once you realize that you straight up don't fucking know what to do is when you have the ability to grow. And if that's not some of the most on point life advice, if you carry yourself about every day telling yourself that you know what's going on, that you have the answers, that you figured it out, if you go about life in that fashion, it is very, very difficult to grow. Because you're not able to take advantage of situations where you could grow. You're almost ignoring those situations because you're telling yourself that you have it figured out. But it's not hard to grow when you know that you just don't know. When you have no idea where to go. When you have no idea what the right answer is. When you truly are sitting down and thinking to yourself, what is the correct path to go here? Because love is terrifying. Love is absolutely terrifying, especially in its earliest stages. And like he finishes the song here with love being so terrifying and not knowing what to do. That is when he finally was allowed to, was he not allowed, but he was able to grow. We are allowed to grow at all points in our life. But when we are able to grow is actually what makes the difference. And another point I really want to make here is, just because this song is he, she, this does not change a goddamn thing. Pronouns are fucking pointless when you're talking about love. And do not let anyone ever tell you any differently. This song could be written by Damien about a dude. This song could be written by Lisa about Damien. This song could be written by Lisa about a girl named Kim. It does not matter. Love does not have boundaries. Love does not care. I think one of the most beautiful things I've seen recently, I was coming through San Francisco airport and I flew into Harvey Milk. The terminal I came into was Harvey Milk Terminal, and seeing these giant murals, like giant floor to ceiling. And by floor to ceiling, I mean like 60 by 40 foot murals of Harvey Milk in what would be the first Pride Parade, going down the street and waving to people, being the first openly gay mayor of a city in America. And literally, it caught me off guard because it is Pride Month. I was in the process of writing this episode at the time. I was thinking about all these things, and I see these pictures, and just like the look of, honestly, just the look of relief on people's faces in these photographs. And it just struck me that just like how maniacal you would have to be to decide someone else's love, or beyond that, who someone can love. Damien, What a fantastic song you've written, my good man. Keep up the good work. Keep writing music, but at your own pace. Nobody's pressuring you. You do you. Continue going at your own speed. We appreciate that. We love you to death. Fantastic song. I honestly, the entire album, is one of my favorite albums of all time. Yes, Damien Rice is one of the most talented songwriters of all time, but I honestly think that I made the joke earlier on when my cousin was starting his Radiohead phase, which that is actually what happened. He was going into that phase and he just dumped a bunch of music on me. Like, here you go. I'm not even going to listen to this anymore, which tight. So I burned CDs onto my computer for 2 weeks. But this is, it's honestly one of my favorite albums because at the time that I discovered it and at the time that it hit me, it was at the perfect time in my life whenever I was actually almost soul searching for music like this, music with depth, music with meaning, music with purpose, music with a goal, music with a message. This is exactly what I was looking for at the time. So fantastic album, absolutely incredible song, Cannonball. Make sure to check it out if you are not familiar yet. But this now brings us to the point in the show, as I always say, my favorite part in the show, where we now get to the local band spotlight, everybody. And this is actually really exciting, a double exciting moment for the local band spotlight because we got my homeboy from my hometown, suburbs of Chicago, Matt Kopecky. Good young man from the suburbs of Chicago. Fantastic young man. Handsome devil at that. Good guy. Shout out to the House Pub in St. Charles, Illinois. A great spot. Many friendships and families and, accidental births came out of that building. It was just a beautiful place to be. And Matt Kopecky is a guy. He's still holding it down there back in the burbs of Chicago. He writes to us and says, I was born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago and have been playing music most of my life. I grew up mainly playing drums for bands until I picked up the guitar and discovered songwriting in my early teens. I spent most of my 20s writing and fronting groups called Oblio and Arrow. I remember seeing that band at some point, but I don't actually remember how to pronounce it. Matt, that's on me. My bad. Goddamn. I should have fucking texted you about that before this happened. But he continues on. In 2019, I decided to start writing and recording under my own name, and during the early months of COVID and quarantine, I stayed busy recording my first solo album and released Home Cooked, which is an absolutely fantastic album, which came out in early 2021. I'm headed back into the studio to start recording the next record this June, which, guess what time it is? It's fucking June, people. He's got a release coming out soon. Mainly performing as a solo act, I was fortunate to stay very busy last summer and look forward to another busy summer gigging in and around Chicago. You can find my music on most any platform and follow me on YouTube, Insta, or Facebook. Or you can find me playing solo shows in and around the city and playing drums for a couple different groups around town as well. Hopefully, as things begin to come back, Matt is playing more and more around the city of Chicago. Like I said, absolutely outstanding young man. Support local music. Support Matt Kopecky. We've added one of his songs to the Local Bands That Don't Suck playlist. We've added Damien Rice's Cannonball to our Elephant Wire podcast playlist. The newest song on both of those. Check them both out. Support local music. It's how we end every episode. Support local music. Support local business. And if you like what we do here at the Elephant Wire Podcast, you can support us as well by going to anchor.fm/the Elephant Wire Podcast. You can support us monthly. You can support us with a one-time donation on our website, theelephantwire.com. You can check out our store. You can grab merch there, stickers, couple t-shirts. Check it out. I had an absolute blast today talking about love and everything that love teaches us. And really, I made the statement a couple times, but I truly believe that love is the pain of being truly alive and feeling what life truly can be in love. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be with something. You can love a lot of things. You can love a sports team. You can love, a meme account. if you really wanted to. It's up to you. But you can also love a cat or a plant. It doesn't really matter. You can love running. But love is the pain of being truly alive, because love will make you do crazy, crazy, crazy things. Like loving music so much and loving lyrics so much that you start a stupid podcast that's fronted by some suits that can go fuck themselves. But as always, thank you for listening today, folks. This was a great time. I had a blast with you today. Damien Rice, Cannonball. What a great jam. This was a good one. We'll catch you guys next week. Fuck the man. Hail Satan. Hug your mom. Peace.